Welcome to It's Not You, It's Grief, a safe space to have candid conversations surrounding the many faces of grief. How do you handle the process while moving forward and ultimately getting back to living in the moment? Come on this journey as we navigate grief through the art of storytelling. And now for your host, Ahira Smith.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning, wherever you're viewing this. Hello. My name is Ahira Smith, and I am the Grief Mending Coach. Thank you for joining me for another episode of It's Not You, It's Not Grief, where we are going to have candid conversations regarding people's journey involving grief, loss, and trauma through the art of storytelling. Now, I just want to say this very quickly as a disclaimer. Before we begin tonight's conversation with my special guest, please know that this topic will touch on sensitive areas regarding prostate cancer. Neither myself nor my guests are medical professionals. And so please, if you have any questions, to seek proper guidance from your primary care physician or any other medical personnel that you are in contact with or you have a relationship with to answer those sort of questions. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. So if you haven't figured it out, today's episode will be focusing on prostate cancer. This is part 2, where I have another brave gentleman who has agreed to come on my show to talk about his own experience regarding prostate cancer. Just to kind of give you a background story about this gentleman, he happens to have a 27.5-year career as a DC firefighter. So this is actually my first time having a firefighter on my podcast, so I'm very excited about that. And after he retired from that distinguished career, he actually became a personal trainer at Gold's Gym, located in Capitol Heights, Maryland, where he started to understand the importance of being able to keep going in that physical health regimen after his career as a firefighter had ended. He was just learning to adapt a healthier lifestyle himself when he was going through that distinguished career at fighting fires, helping people in that line of work. And so he's continued on in that area, helping other people meet their own fitness goals as well. And, making sure that people are knowledgeable about the different areas of improvement when it comes to our overall wellness. And in January of 2012, he had an unexpected turn of events happen in his life where he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so instead of him, standing in fear of it, he stood toe to toe with it. He faced it head on. And he has been doing everything he can to not only continue to fight against prostate cancer, but to also educate those, especially the fellas, about the importance of getting their numbers checked and finding the type of support needed when people are encountering such a difficult turn of events. Because let's be honest, cancer is one of those things that a lot of people are not necessarily prepared for. There's no preparation for it whatsoever. And I just can't wait for him to come on, share his story with me and you, and give me some tips to support others who may be facing such diagnosis. And, I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Mr. David Tinsley Jr. Hey, David, how are you, brother?
I'm well, and yourself? How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Mm.
Thank you so much again for agreeing to come on my show. I'm excited about this. I've been looking forward to this for all week. How you doing? You excited? You ready?
Yes, I'm excited and I'm ready.
Absolutely great. Great, great. So first of all, before we get into the meat and potatoes of our talk regarding prostate cancer, I just want to know, 27.5 years as a firefighter. You tell me, did you always want to be a firefighter, or is that something that you would just excel?
No,
Like, what was that? Did you start burning matches at the house? Like, what? How did that come about?
no, I didn't. I was a firefighter because I was growing up as a kid, wanted to be a firefighter. I was a firefighter because I needed a job, and
Okay.
I just applied. They just had a listing out, and I just applied, and
Mm.
when I they hired me, and from there I enjoyed it. It was the greatest move I ever made in my life.
Wow. Okay. So were you always at were you as a firefighter? Because I know there's like different firehouse stations. Were you with the same firehouse station for all those years, or did you
Yes,
go to different places? Okay, so you were just at one house.
I was at that one house. I didn't go around because I didn't really get promoted. I pretty much just stayed. I drove the ladder truck for like 13 years, and then for
Okay.
my last 14 years I was on a chemical truck. I drove
Oh
a
wow.
chemical truck that just goes to all gas station fires, airplane crashes. Actually,
Mm.
my last big fire was the 911.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that one more time? Your last big one was when?
My last major fire was 911, 9/11.
Wow. Bless your heart. I thought that's what you said, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Bless your
Toughest day of
heart.
my life. That was my toughest day as being a firefighter. That was a really hard day.
Hmm. I can only imagine. Well, again, I told you before we started, and I'll tell you again, I salute you and the rest of the men and women who are in that line of work, because I couldn't imagine doing that, as long as you have day to day. But even on that particular day, my condolences to you if you had lost any loved ones, comrades, that particular day, or just, since then, that, was part of that, was part of that whole ordeal. So
Right.
again, my blessings to you guys. So let's go ahead and tell people exactly, who is David Tinsley Jr. Tell us about who you are. I mean, I know I gave a little snippet, but who are you?
Well, David Tinsley, as you know, I'm a retired firefighter. I am married, and I've been married for 39 years. June would be 40 years of marriage to my lovely wife. I have two kids fire department now. He has 20 years on the job,
Oh
and
wow.
I have a
Okay.
daughter. I have a daughter who is very accomplished. Is a very accomplished musician. I have four grandkids. I have four grandkids. I retired from the fire department 10 years ago. I've been retired for 10 years. I have my own business right now called DnT Fitness, which I am a personal trainer, and I train a lot of clients on a daily basis, and I do all my training at Gold's Gym.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful.
And I'm
Wonderful.
also I always consider myself as a servant because I do so much for a lot of people. I'm also a deacon in the church. I sing in quartet groups. I play bass guitar. I just do so much.
Okay. Okay. So you're a deacon at the church. You play in the band. You play bass guitar, and I heard you sing. Are you a baritone? Are you a bass? Or are you a tenor?
No, I'm a
Okay.
tenor. I've been
You're a
singing with
tenor.
this group for over 35 years called Men of Faith. I've been the lead singer of this group. I also play
Oh,
bass guitar. Yeah,
okay. 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 Now, David, let me just say this right now. I'm starting to get um a little interruption in our conversations. So I'm
yeah, I'm
hoping
hearing
that
that.
we're not having any technical difficulties. So, but I'm hoping to keep you on as long as we can, because if we have to pause it and stop and start it back up again, I'll be willing to do that, because I definitely want to get your story out there. So this is
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
This is great. So let me ask you right out the gate, when you first learned about your diagnosis, back in 2012. What was the thoughts or emotions that came up for you, and how did you begin to process them?
I was devastated. I was devastated. I was devastated. And the reason why I was devastated because I was not educated on prostate cancer.
Mm,
As soon as, normally, a lot of times when we hear that cancer word, all we think is just a death sentence. So basically, I was not educated in prostate cancer, So I I remember when I first got a call. I was at work at the firehouse, and I got a call late in the evening from my doctor, and she said that I did not respond or something. She said I didn't respond to her. She was calling me to tell me that I could possibly have prostate cancer, and she said that she had contacted me about 8 months before that. And I'm like, well, if you contacted me, I mean, if you think I had prostate cancer, I think you should continue to try to contact me. And so basically, it was 8 months later when she told me that I had prostate, when I really realized I had prostate cancer. And I was at the firehouse when they told me, and after they told me, I was just so devastated. All I could do was just walk around the firehouse, just thinking about the repercussions of having prostate cancer. But it still wasn't determined whether I had it or not because I had to do a biopsy.
okay. So you were already tested 8 months prior to you getting the call and talking with your doctor. So I'm curious, did the doctor indicate whether or not it was like pre-cancer, pre-prostate cancer, or was it like the early stages of it? Like I'm curious about that.
I, I think my numbers was high. That's what it was. My PSA was high.
Okay.
My PSI, because they did not determine it through they have two ways to check in your prostate, the finger and the PSA. And my PSA was high. And she had sent me a message saying that my PSA was high and that we might need to observe that to see if I had prostate cancer because it still wasn't determined whether I had it or not. It was just my PSA, my numbers was high. So they wanted to know why my numbers was high.
Okay. Okay. Now before we go on, did prior to getting the news, did did you have any was there any family history about prostate cancer for you? Did you know anybody in your family? Is it in your family?
I have no family history of prostate cancer. Not
Okay.
at all. I don't know anyone in my family that had prostate cancer before me. And actually I don't know the one now that has.
Okay. Okay. And so now I'm curious that since you had been since you were identified as the one with prostate cancer, did you have like any other family members who was around your same age range? Did any of them started to feel like they need to go ahead and get their numbers checked as well? Because it's like if David's got it,
Of
it might be a
course.
possibility. Okay. So
Of course, yes. Because I was encouraging them to do the same also. So
okay, okay,
but I'm
okay.
I'm the oldest of my siblings, so but I still was
Gotcha.
encouraging them to do it.
Got you, got you, got you. So looking back, uh, when you got the news, you said that you were at the firehouse at the time, and you were just processing the news. And I'm sure your children were at a younger age, obviously, than they are now. Did you tell your children or your other family members immediately upon the news, or did you kind of sit and wait with it and just told your wife? Like, what was that like breaking the news to other family members about the diagnosis?
No, I don't think I broke the news to none of my family members but my wife. Me and my wife, the only one that knew. We didn't want to share any pertinent information until we go through all the things that the doctor had me go through, which was the biopsy to determine whether I had, and whether I had to have surgery and all that. So we waited until that. Then we told them.
Okay, 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 okay. So looking back, what practices or support systems um, do you felt helped you the most as you navigated through the treatment? of your prostate diagnosis or and
I think
recovery?
what helped me is what I do now is that people that come up with prostate cancer, a lot of people send people to me and I talk to them. And I had a lot. I had one guy. He was a firefighter. His name was Preston Williams. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and actually he passed away of prostate cancer. He was a little bit more extreme. And I remember when I got diagnosed, I talked to him because I know he was dealing with prostate cancer, and he would always talk to me, encourage me, and tell me things. So basically, I was encouraged by I think it was a couple of people that I talked to that already was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and but he was the main one. He would always be in my ear. And actually, when I was in the hospital, he bought me a prostate cancer pen and gave
Mm,
it to me. And he passed away like about 10 years ago, and I still have that pen. And every time I look at it, I think about him.
mm.
And I'm thinking about sharing that pen and giving it to somebody else.
Okay, okay. Um, if you don't mind sharing, what was there options regarding the treatment for your prostate cancer? Was it chemo? Was it radiation? Was it brachytherapy? What was your options?
Well, my doctor told me, he gave me some options. This was so long ago, I forgot all the options he gave me, but he gave me quite a few options. And and I asked him, I looked him in his eye, I said, Doc, I don't know about this. This is new to me. So basically, I'm asking you, what do you think is my best option? My best
Mhm.
option. And he told me to go through, he said he think because of my age and my health condition, because I was in good shape. He said that because of my age and everything, he think robotic surgery would be the best thing just to remove the prostate.
Mm,
And I took his suggestion, and that's what I did. And that was in 2012 when I had the surgery, and I've had no repercussions, nothing from it. I've been fine.
okay, okay. During your treatment, was there a particular moment or experience that stood out in your memory? Maybe a challenge or a source of comfort that helped you move forward?
Well, I had a lot of friends. I got a lot of friends. I got a lot of support. I got good support with me. I got people, that always praying for me, and everybody was encouraging me. And it's just and to be honest with you, everything that they told me that I would go through in the prostate cancer, it's a lot of things that they say happened. It didn't happen to me.
Mm,
It didn't happen to me. There's this thing where they tell you be leaking and all that stuff, and it really never happened to me. They told me I had to wear some Pampers or whatever. I never had to do all this stuff. So I think and my healing process wasn't that bad. I
okay,
mean, I think I recovered. My doctor said I recovered so well. I wasn't
good,
down long at all.
good, good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Let me ask you really quickly, because you said that you've been talking to other people about your journey, especially to the fellas, and I'm just curious, why do you what do you believe is the reason why, when it comes to health for men, there's so much reluctancy to get checked, especially for something regarding prostate cancer or, what just because again, I have my theories, but again, I only know so much. But why do you think men in particular struggle to get this particular area or stay on top of this particular area when it comes to their health?
Well, men don't like to go to the doctor anyway. I don't like to go to the doctor, but but
But
men don't
why
like to go
is
to.
but why is that, you think? And I
But
know it's just your
I mean,
opinion, but
I don't I can't tell you. But a lot of times I think a lot of men are afraid because they scared of what the doctor's going to say to them.
mhm,
A
mhm,
lot of men. I mean, I've been that way before. I've been that way before. I've grown out of that, and in a way, I'm still kind of like that in a way. But I would go get checked out a lot more now. But I encourage everybody, get yourself checked out. Get yourself checked out. It's because the thing is, you can wait too late, and
Hmm.
then it can worsen the situation up. You want to take care of it while it's at its earliest part. And that's one thing the doctor told me, that they caught it early. Even though they told me 8 months later that my numbers
Hmm.
was high, they still got it early. It wasn't that bad. So the
Mm,
earlier they catch it, the earlier they catch it, the bad. So we have to, whether we don't like to go to the doctor, we have to go get checked out. We have to go get checked out. It's vital. We have to go get checked out. Especially when you start getting of age. When you get to that 40s and 50s, you got to go get yourself checked out.
I agree. I agree. Do you feel that there's enough education out there when it comes to prostate cancer for men, or do you think it's I mean, obviously, we hear more about like the more known cancers like breast cancer, and it's not saying one is worse than the other, not by any means. I'm definitely not saying that. But do you think that there's enough information or or education about that out there to where men are just able to capture these conversations and be like, you know what, maybe I should go get checked out or something, or is it still lacking?
No, I think it's a lot of information out here. I mean, we have platforms like yourself doing things like this. This is good. This is
Mhm.
always good when men see things like this. Your podcast. I'll probably share this with other guys. And actually, to be honest with you, I mean, I'm in the gym every day, all day long, and I talked to everybody in the gym. I talked to everybody in the gym, and a guy came up to me about a month ago, and he said, Dave, man, he said, man, we was just talking. I never told him I had prostate cancer or anything, but we was just talking. And he said, man, I just got diagnosed with prostate cancer. He said, no, he said I had to well, they thought he had it.
Mhm.
He had to have a biopsy. After he had the biopsy, he came. I mean, because I talked to him, and it's funny that he came told me that because he didn't know that I had prostate cancer. So when
Okay.
he told me, I told him, my ordeal with prostate cancer. And to be honest with you, he done had the surgery and everything, and he's back in the gym and he's doing very well. And he told me, he said, man, just by talking to you, it really made me feel a lot. It relieved him of some pressure. I mean, he said just the little conversations that we had. So when he talked to me, we would every time I see him, we would just told, and I always say, man, you're gonna be all right, man. You're gonna be all right. But he was just like me. He was worried. He was really worried because I could see it in his eyes that he was worried. And I was trying to tell him, man, it's gonna be all right, man. So, the key is to catch it in the early stage. He said they did catch it early stage. So I told him, man, you be all right. And when I see him walk around the gym now, it makes me feel good because he always told me, he said, man, I really appreciate you just coming up talking to me. So platforms like yourself and people like me and other people that's been through this before, we have to talk and we got to spread this news. It's good that you put people like myself on here and other people that's been through this. So I think people will see things like this and it'll really help them.
I agree. I agree. I think that's something that I think this is needed, because everybody
It
is
is.
dealing with something, and sometimes there isn't a space to talk about it candidly because some people are afraid or they just don't know. And I think it's important that we continue to have these conversations on a regular basis because every day something's happening. Every minute things change from one minute to the next, and then somebody else is getting a diagnosis and somebody else is getting a diagnosis. So I think it's important that
Yep.
we have these conversations. you know uh, you got a father, you got an uncle, you got brother, you got sons, you got nephews. Having these conversations is important, because we need each other. Let's just people be like, I don't need this and I don't need that. We need each other, and I think it's important. In a way, I think it would be selfish if you have this information, you don't share it with others where it could help them, and even for me, just talking with you and other people about this particular cancer, it's educating me on how I can be of support when somebody I love or even if somebody I don't know has been diagnosed with this, and then I can I can approach the conversation in an empathetic way to where It's like, look, I don't know much about what you're going through, but I care. I'm present.
Mm,
If you need to talk, let's talk. If you need somebody to just, not talk and just be there for you, allow me to do that. Let me be in that space because none of us can get through this, you know, um, alone. And when you hear something of this caliber, it's a type of grief. Some people may look at it as complicated because it's like, oh, I just got this diagnosis. How am I going to talk to my wife or my partner about this, my kids? While we got this going on, I got this job. That could be more of a compound grief because it's like one thing after another after another. So I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just a one and done situation. There's so many different underlying elements to it, but we can't not be afraid to talk about it. I think
agreed.
the old ways of, you hear it once and then you never talk about it again. I think honestly that mindset is over and done with because everything is so easy accessible as far as just getting information through social media or just the internet. But we have to be very careful on what's being shared out there because not all the information
True.
is accurate. So I think that's why I really want to have people like yourself to come on here because you're telling me and it's different. You're telling me yourself what it is that you've been through, which is going to be something different for somebody else. You were in great shape. My other guest was in the Air Force. Somebody else could have been a business owner. It's going to be different for everybody. So I think if we recognize it, it's going to be different, but yet there's still a chance to fight it and thrive,
Right.
then let's just do that. Let's just do
Absolutely.
that.
Yes.
So
And another thing I think,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. But
No,
another
no.
thing I think, because what my doctor told me was that because of my conditioning of me just the amount of exercise that I do and the consistent basis of just doing exercise, he said he think that that really helped me through it. So I encourage people, if you're not in the gym, you don't have to go in the gym to be no world class lifter or nothing, but keep yourself in good shape because you never know what you have to go through. And a lot of times when you go through these health issues, sometimes the type of shape that you're in, it helps you get through some of these processes. And I think because of the fact that I was in pretty good shape, I think I was able to come out a lot better than maybe some others.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, I'm wondering, when you told people maybe outside of your circle or outside of your family, or maybe even within your family that you had cancer, did people treat you differently? Did you feel like there was a little difference in how they spoke with you or approached you? Did you get the notion that people were uncomfortable around you because they just didn't know what to say after you told them you had prostate cancer? For those who weren't coming to you about that themselves, did you notice any differences in certain people's behaviors about that when you told them you had
No,
cancer?
no, not really. No, not really. I think people supported me and they prayed for me and everything, but people knew I'm a pretty much an uplifting guy, positive guy. And I'll tell people I'm gonna be all right. Don't, I just, I don't like people to be like that. Treat me differently. Don't treat me differently. I'm fine. I'm be okay. And I think they
Yeah,
did just that. They did. I did. I had a good support circle, definitely. But I don't think people felt that type. I think they just, because they know I wouldn't. I don't want that. I want them to be the same.
agreed, agreed. Was there a time when you even surprised yourself regarding your own strength or resilience? Something that revealed something new about you, whether it was the diagnosis, whether it was during your treatment, recovery, or even after years later, looking back.
Now, what was your question again? Can you repeat that
So,
question?
sure. So my question is, was there a time that you were surprised with your own regarding your own strength or resilience? regarding the situation, whether it was during your diagnosis, whether it was your treatment recovery, or years later looking back? Was there a time that you surprised yourself and like, wow, I can't believe I went through that? And because I know you said you're an upbeat person, you should try to look at things half full and positive. But was there a time where you were like, I can't believe I did that, or did this surprised you? That makes sense.
N- in a way, but see, I'm so used to I'm so by me being a deacon in the church, I'm so used to going to nursing homes. I'm used to
Hmm.
visiting people and trying to encourage people and lift people up, and I know, so I know how to relate to them. So sometimes, I think my faith. I think my faith in God and just having my wife by my side and knowing that she's praying for me, I think it just kept me lifted up. And I didn't think I was too worried. And then and the same thing what I did too is I got more educated. What a lot of people did is when they gave me something, they always give you gifts or something like that. When people came and bought me flowers or something, they would give me books on prostate cancer,
Hmm.
stuff like that, because I be telling people it's not a death sentence
Hmm.
if you just educate yourself. Read. And what I did is I did a lot of reading on prostate cancer. Now I know
Hmm.
everybody is different, all cases are different, but I did a lot of reading, and I think my faith in God, and my belief in prayer that I was going to get through it, I think it helped me. And I stayed uplifted through the whole process. Now to be, I have to be honest to say, was I worried? Yes, yes, I
Okay.
was, I was worried, but
Because that
I
was
was
gonna be my
fighting
next
through that.
question. I
I was
believe
worried.
you.
I was
I
worried.
believe you. I believe you, because
Yeah, I
that
was
was gonna
worried.
be my next question. Was there did you feel your faith was tested,
Yes,
through this whole thing? And
it
not
was.
even so much tested, but how did it shape your faith and your relationship with the source? How did that, was it like, I don't I'm not getting the notion that you turned away, but I didn't necessarily know how did it evolve from where it was before the diagnosis to after receiving it. So what was your spiritual practice like
Well,
since?
God used people to do his will sometimes. And sometimes God have to take you through some things sometimes so that you can be a testimony so that other people can get through it. So basically you can't look at it in a selfish way. You gotta look at it as though my God might be using me to get through some other people. Because he took me through this like this, right? I might be able to help so many other people to get through it. And that's what I do. I love talking to people about prostate cancer. I love helping people in any way that I can. And I believe my testimony will help a lot of people. And I think it's helping people now. So I'm just allowing God to use me, and that's what God do. He takes you through trials, he takes you through tribulation. The Bible says that God didn't promise us peace. He didn't say we wouldn't go through things. He will go through things, but you gotta remember some things that he take you through, sometimes it makes you stronger. So I think me just going through this, it made me stronger, and it made me want to help other people. I always like to help people anyway, but just dealing with this prostate cancer just put me in another area where I can help some people that has to go through the same thing that I had to go through.
Agreed. I definitely agree. I definitely hear that in what you're saying today. Even just how, like you said, how God tends to um move through us,
Hmm.
with the different things that are happening to us, you know what I mean? So it just reminds us as to who's in charge, and sometimes God has a way of placing things and removing
Yep.
people in and out of your life, so you can just be reminded that he is the one, and that he's not going to leave us, he's not going to forsake us and all that. So I
So,
agree with you with that. I agree with you with that. um, Another question that I have, and I'm loving this conversation, is we talked about, what is it about the fellas who, why do they not, um, you know, make their health a priority, as it should be, especially those of us, as we're getting older. Um, the support system I can tell was so instrumental in your recovery and to where you are now, like your wife, your family, your close knit. What do you say to somebody who may not have a strong support system? Like you yourself, you had your church, you had your, I'm sure you had your fire brothers and sisters. What do you say to somebody who may have recently been diagnosed with prostate or any type of illness of sorts, but does not have that strong support system?
Well, I would say, I mean, I would try to get them to connect to somebody like myself, and and maybe we can make suggestions for them to, like, for instance, I would, me personally, if I had somebody like that, I probably would say, man, just come on, go to church with me one day. Just come on, go to church with me one day. Take them to lunch, talk to him, and then maybe it might open him up a little bit more, where he can revolve himself in a different circle. You know, because a lot of times some people are very independent, and a lot of times people don't want them. They don't want people to know certain things. They don't want people to know certain things. But I believe in the power of prayer in a circle of people that care. But like you said, a lot of people don't have that circle. A lot of people don't have that circle. So it's tough. But I think it's there's somebody for everybody that can come and just, and help somebody out. I don't know, because that's a hard question, because it's, like I say, some people just, they stay down, and they don't share a lot of information with people. They don't share a lot of information with people, and I understand why. I understand why you can't just share your information with anybody.
Agreed. Agreed. But as you said, there is support out there.
A lot of support.
You have to just take a leap of faith and just talk with, just use discernment, but talk to that one person who can be present and listen. And even if it's not that person who can help you the way you need to, they probably know somebody that you can connect with to
Right.
get you to where you need to be. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So if you had to provide a message for people like myself who want to continue to support those who are struggling, whether it's cancer, whether it's, any type of life altering events that's happened, what is maybe one or two things that you can offer as a suggestion for those of us who want to help, but we just don't necessarily know where to begin besides prayer? You know, what would you say to the supporters who are seeing our loved ones or seeing people we know who may be struggling?
Well, they have different cancer support groups that help. You can reach out to these support groups, and actually, that's the reason why I do some of the things that I do now. I mean, I know I don't know if you're ready to talk about that, but the foundation that I built, the foundation that I had called the DnT Foundation it's a nonprofit, 501c nonprofit, and it's made to do scholarships for kids and support cancer foundations. So I've reached out to a lot of cancer foundations, whether it's Ronald McDonald House, St. Jude, different prostate cancer. I just donate to all types of things. That's what we do. We just donate and try to help out. We like my church right now is having a Men's Day weekend in November, and we're planning what you're doing right now. A doctor is coming and talking to all the men about the same thing you want to talk to me about. So things
Good.
like that, invite people to come there, support things like that. There's so many churches do so many things like this. People don't. That's why I say a lot of times when you see people, invite them to church with you. Invite them to church with you. Maybe they in church, maybe they not in church. Maybe that'll help them. Go in there and listen to other men, and not just men, but not saying that the best men are in church, because that's not what I'm saying. But that's where you supposed to get that support in church. People supposed to be there to help other people. We're not there for ourselves. We're there to help other people. So you might find that in a lot of churches. In a lot of churches.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think just observation and just hearing people speak. A lot of folks tend to not feel safe in churches because of, unfortunately, past problems, and so you mentioned about different cancer support programs out there that may not necessarily be affiliated with a particular church, but they still have the support needed to help you be educated, talk amongst other people who are thrivers, and even those who are may not been diagnosed with a particular cancer, but guess what? They still care about helping folks get through those difficult times. So I think it's definitely important that we continue to have these conversations, like we said before. Um, and again, it doesn't have to be a church. It could be a fraternity. It could be a men's organization. It could be even, I'm sure, even within your with your former profession as as a DC firefighter. I'm sure that there's different programs or conversations that's held in the firehouses or police stations or anywhere else about areas that impact you as a man. So, the mental health definitely something that I'm sure is a focal point, and obviously the body can't survive without the mind. So I definitely see that just based off the conversations I've had with other people. So, but tell us a little bit more about your foundation. How did it get started? And your upcoming event that's going to be taking place next month. And yes, sir.
Well, well, everybody know. Well, not everybody say everybody know. I am a personal trainer. I've been training for about probably like 20 something years, because before I left the fire department, I was training firefighters. And one thing that you probably did not know, I used to weigh 265 pounds.
No, I
And
didn't.
now, yeah, now I weigh 185 pounds. And I've been carrying that 185 pounds for years.
Okay.
And one thing I did is that I started when I retired, or before I retired, I started a business called DnT Fitness. And DnT stands for my name, David Nathaniel Tinsley. And when I started that business, I all I wanted to do was just got certified. I just wanted to train some people, make a couple of dollars. But as I started training people, I started getting more clients and more clients. And the more clients I get, I start doing different things. And then as people started to flock towards me, I realized that God didn't just put me down as a personal trainer. He put me down to make this a ministry. So what I did is I turned the training into a ministry. And what I did is I think we started out one year by going into a school, finding some kids that needed some help with clothes, school clothes, whatever. And we took the kids shopping. And from that day on, we started doing a little bit more every year. And then we built up to a point where we started doing like 10 scholarships every year. I do 10 scholarships every year for kids going into college. And that's when I started the DnT Foundation. And what I wanted to do, because I was diagnosed with cancer, and I had a friend of mine that I used to train that died of cancer. I named a race after him, Charles Coates, 5K. That's the name of my race, is Charles E. Coates 5K. And I do that in memory of Charles, who died of cancer. So I started that, and it just grew. I started getting sponsors. And the people started to help me out. And now it's thank God. I didn't put the website in there, but I'm gonna put the website. I'm gonna send you the website also. But you can go to the website and you can see how much money we've given. I think we've given out like about $60,000 in scholarships. And we've gave a lot of money to a lot of cancer foundations. When people come up to me with different foundations, they'll send it to me, and I'll look at it and I'll just say, let's help them. So basically, and I've always been the type of person that just like to help. I just like to help people. The Bible says that when God bless you, you should always be a blessing to others. So I just want to be a blessing to other people. So, and I got a good support system surrounding me. I got a lot of people that helps me out. Like one person, like Gary, the one that just referred you to me. He's been big help. He helps me out. I mean, oh my God, he's such a blessing. I mean, Gary helps me out. I mean, he's the man. He's the
He
man.
is. He is. That's one of my frat brothers of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. He's
Hmm.
he's he's just a good man. He's
Yes, it
definitely
is.
got a good head on his shoulders. Just he's talking with that seasoned wisdom with his
Hmm.
uncanny personality, but just a good all
Hmm.
around good brother and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
he answered the call. That's how we got connected. He
I
said,
know.
I got somebody great for you. He's sitting right next to me. Let's talk."
Hmm.
Like that, he's just my go-to person, and he always
Yeah,
shares. But yeah, having good people in your circle, it it resonates
very
with you,
important.
because again, when times become maybe difficult for you, or you just got that support, even if you just needed that little words of wisdom, or just to be like, hey, let's get some coffee or something. You just
Always.
never know what people are going through. But people like Gary and other folks that I know who are in my circle,
Yeah,
it definitely goes a long way, especially when you're dealing with a health crisis that we've been talking about
right.
tonight, about prostate cancer. So
Right.
it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
and
the face. Yeah,
and
I'm the face
it,
of DnT Fitness, but Gary is the vice president of my nonprofit. He's the
is
vice president.
he?
So pretty much, yeah, I go off of what I listen. I tell them they don't have to go off everything I say. I listen to Gary because he always giving me pertinent information. He he talks a lot. He talks a lot, but he's always for your best interest, and he gives you the most sufficient information he can. Gary is very good.
Yes, he is. Shout out to Gary. And we know you're going to look at this when you see it, but definitely he's
Mhm.
a good person to know. And
Yes, he
again,
is.
it's even when it comes to moments like this, or when you having different life altering situations, I tell people all the time, if you ever really want to know a true person's character, let something like this happen. You'll see those who are able to stand toe to toe with you, or those who are able to stand toe to who stand on their 10 toes and walk away. And
Hmm.
it's not to say that's always a bad thing if people have to leave because they can't handle it, but you just know, that you just needed to see what you needed to see. So
Right.
I definitely agree with you on that. But David, it has been an honor. I am so humbled that, again, you took a moment out of your busy schedule to sit on here, chat with me about your journey regarding prostate cancer. Just giving people snippets on what that was like for you. The journey you had even prior to prostate cancer, being a firefighter, and even how you're just so into your ministry. I mean, because that's what it is. It's a ministry, but it's a testimonial, because there are people who need to hear this, and they just may not know, they may have been on the fence about it, but perhaps hearing it from you, to be like, look, let me get in contact with this guy named David. I saw this podcast, or
Yeah.
it came on here. So I appreciate you for not only what you're doing with your foundation, even with that of the work within your church, in the community, just continuing to give people words of encouragement, because everybody can use encouragement. We are living in some very strange days, especially here in the DMV area. So,
Yes.
hearing some words of encouragement goes a long way when people are at their wits' end. So, I just applaud you so much. Thank you so much for and still keeping it going with your health. Again, we said the mind can't survive, the body can't survive without the mind. I see
That's
you
right.
showing the guns. You got the DNT representing on the shirt. I'm like, man, I see it. I'm like, he's representing. I'm like, you got the biceps. I'm like, wait a minute, I might need to do some extra push-ups myself.
Come on out. You'll enjoy it.
No. I'm on my own journey, but trust me, when I get to my goal, I'm gonna give you a call. I'm like, hey, Dave, Remember
I'm
what you said? Let's do some. But one thing I will say, I'm down for, I'm doing my little walking. I do my little
that's
merengue
all you
dance.
need to do.
That's all I'm doing. But what I will not do is burpees. Let me just tell you that right now. I will not. I am good with I'm good with the power walking. I'm good with doing some push ups and sit ups. But what I will not do is burpees, bro. So I'm just gonna tell you right now.
You don't have to do burpees. All you have to do is be
Appreciate
consistent with doing what you're doing and be
and that's what
reasonable.
I'm doing. And that's what I'm doing because I ain't gonna lie. There was a group I was a part of, and if you didn't meet your goal, you had to do burpees. And I'm like, I want to meet my goal because what I'm not gonna do is some daggone burpees. I listen. And see the funny thing is when people call them burpees nowadays. When I was coming up, we called them squat thrusts because that's exactly what it was. You squatting, you kicking out, you
You
thrusting.
do us.
It was squat thrust. That's where I was coming up with, and I was like, I ain't like it then,
You do.
and I ain't doing it now.
I don't like it now.
I don't like it now. I'm consistent. I am consistent. But again, David, I appreciate you so much. Again, I applaud you for all the work that you're doing. Again, with your foundation, I'm actually having it scrolling down at the bottom. If people want to continue to get in contact with you, what is the best way for them to reach you? Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have an
I have a
Instagram page? What's the best way to reach you?
I have a Facebook page and I have an Instagram page. They can reach me through that. Message me in there. You see the links for my race. If people can sign up for my race. I what else do I have going on? I don't think we have anything else going on right now other than the race. The race is October the 11th. So we're trying to get that going. Normally I have about two to 300 participants in the race every year.
Wow.
So I'm hoping to have a lot more. We looking for sponsors. We still always looking for sponsors. And I got to give a big shout out to Gold's Gym and Tropical Smoothie, two of my biggest sponsors. Tropical
Let me tell you
Smoothie,
something. Let
yeah.
me tell you something. I ain't gonna lie. That was my dinner tonight.
That was your dinner
I
today?
had, I had to get my smoothie on. I love me some smoothies, and for those
Mm,
who smooth they have like free smoothies this week. If you buy a food purchase, you get a free smoothie. So trust, I got my
okay.
smoothie. You think I'm kidding? I got my smoothie.
I
I'm not
said,
playing. I'm not playing. I got my smoothie. This was my dinner. I loved it, and
oh,
it was very scrumptious. It was scrumptious. It was scrumptious. So.
I'm gonna tell the owner. I'm gonna tell the owner of Tropical Smoothie. Me and her very tight.
Yep,
Me and her
yep.
very tight.
Tell her. So if they feel like they want to
I
pass
love it.
give me a little another smoothie for free, I'm your girl.
So yeah.
I'll do it. But again, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I definitely want to keep this conversation going. Down the road, have you come back on and share
Oh,
some
that'll
other
be a
tips.
pleasure.
And I would
Wouldn't be
love
a
to do
problem
it
at
to
all.
where had love to do it like more of like a panel discussion, have some other gentlemen on here just to kind of chop it
That
up
would be nice.
and let y'all just have at it and maybe talk because we need that bridge. We need the
Yes,
bridge
that would be
from
nice.
those who are seasoned, who are seasonal, seasoned our elders, and we also need to have that conversation with the younger brothers who are coming
Right.
behind you guys. So, but I appreciate you so much, and for everybody who joined in tonight's conversation regarding prostate cancer, please, 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 dads, husbands, boyfriends, brothers, uncles,
Get checked.
nephews, cousins, get checked.
Get checked. Get
Just
checked.
get checked. Get
Just get
checked.
checked.
It's the hardest part is going through the door to get checked.
Get
That's
checked.
that's the hardest part. Just get checked. We need you.
Get checked. Get checked.
You're
Get
needed.
checked.
That's it.
Get
Just
checked.
just get checked. It'll be weight off your mind just knowing,
Mhm.
you know, and just like that old cartoon of GI Joe, knowing is half the battle. Just know.
No.
Just know. Just know. But again, for everybody here who's been rocking with me on this podcast, thank you so much. so truly appreciate each and every one of you sticking with me, listening to these conversations, because it's definitely not about me. It's just about the role that I do to help other people in regarding their journey of grief and helping to move towards healing and get back to living in the present moment. That's what it's about, living in the present moment. So thank you all again so much. We'll see you another time, and I mean it, Tinsley. When I get my arms ready, when I get my goal,
Remember,
see. Look at that.
you
You know
told
what? I'm not bad. I gotta get it in there. I gotta do my modified push-ups. Just let me get my modified push-ups.
make sure you make sure you follow me on Facebook. I'm gonna put you on my fitness page. You'll love it.
Oh, okay. I
A
I
lot of
definitely would.
fun.
You hear that? Facebook. He's old school. Facebook. Don't be mad at us for still being on Facebook, you young people. Y'all be all
Oh
right.
no, on
Y'all
Facebook.
be all right.
Facebook.
Facebook it is. Facebook it is. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely see you next time on another episode. It's not you, it's grief. You all take care. Have a great day, great night, great weekend. Share this. Share this conversation with somebody who may be going through it or scared to be at it alone. They're not alone. You don't have to do this by yourself. I promise you there's support here. So make sure you check us out. And until then, take care and be well.
Thank you for listening, being intentional, and sharing this moment with us. We at It's Not You, It's Grief deeply understand the many facets of grieving, and we want to make sure we can be here for you. Again, thank you for listening, and tune in again wherever you subscribe to podcasts. We look forward to seeing you next time. Be well.